the Wednesday Football Diehards live stream with myself, Kyle Dvorchak, and former Million Maker winner, Bobby Gomes. How did Week 11 treat you, Bobby?
It was actually a pretty good week. I had 100% Atlanta Falcons defense in tournaments. Figured the optimal. The one thing I didn't do and I didn't think to do was play McCaffrey with the Falcons D, and I'd probably have a
That's
second
like,
maker.
I don't know. I don't blame you for that though. That's so suboptimal that it's.
What do you mean? Whoa! What? Explain that. What did you just say? No,
I don't think it's smart to run a running back into the defense they're playing. Like, I think.
Okay, so like I get that. Negative correlation. No one does it. I 100% get that.
And I think I'm fine with negative correlation. I just don't think that's the spot I would choose for it.
Yeah, but so if you understood like what the optimal build was kind of going to be and how much.
Yeah, maybe I haven't even thought about like what other pieces would work around it. So maybe.
Yeah. So no, it isn't even that. It's more of game theory with the Panther having 4 Panthers in cash, right? Like if you just have Atlanta and they do well, like you're automatically leveraging the majority of the field just because of Atlanta, just because of the Carolina Panther ownership in cash games and ultimately tournaments. So like if you were just fading Kyle, like maybe you like McCaffrey and you're fading Kyle Allen, who was like was one of the 3 quarterbacks that were in the conversation for a good like majority of the day. Like I was probably the favorite like up there to win the Millie last week. Like it was because of the Atlanta defense. You think it's crazy, but
no. I'm just thinking that's rough that you didn't win. I don't think it's like the most crazy thing.
No, I had like a good 15 lineups in the top 100. At one point, we were tied for 10th, all of them.
Oh man!
Like the whole it was obviously like it was early in the day, but having Atlanta at 1% and then like Kyle Allen fading Kyle Allen, DJ Moore was really chalky, and pretty much McCaffrey were pretty good plays. Like if you had the right receiver quarterback combo for that fade, which I did, which was Josh Allen and John Brown. Yeah, it made sense. Like I just think that I could have rostered McCaffrey if it was just a fade of Kyle Allen. Like it's easy to Monday morning quarterback it, but we rarely roster like offensive players versus a defense. But with McCaffrey's usage, like you can make a case for it, especially versus a team like Atlanta. And then with how owned Kyle Allen was going to be, like it wasn't out of the realm of possibility of something that could work. So it was interesting.
Yeah, I actually had a very similar week in that I had a lot of Josh Allen, John Brown stacks, and 4 p.m. slate like just dunked on me, so it didn't end up mattering. But
yeah, so the 4 p.m. slate wasn't that bad for me because I didn't like fall out very much. Like I was still very high up there because I had a couple good plays like around it. Like I had Gallup, I had DJ Chark. Like I had those guys that you wanted. Like I had all the pieces. I just had Brian Hill. So
yeah, it'd be like that. All right, you ready to get into this week?
Yeah, we can talk some. Yeah, let's go.
All right. First game I have on the docket here is Tampa Bay versus Atlanta. Atlanta are 4-point home favorites. Totals dropped from 53 to 51, but that still has it as the highest total on the slate, I believe. So at this point, I'm not even going to lead off with like Chris Godwin versus Mike Evans talk because I feel like I just don't know how you go off of Mike Evans. Like I don't care about like, oh, this team funnels to the slot or whatever. Like Mike Evans has like well over 500 more air yards on the season than Chris Godwin. And I don't think the ownership is going to be much different is the thing. Like if ownership projections come in and Mike Evans is like significantly more chalky, sure, that's a fine place to make the pivot. But I don't think people have adjusted to the like massive discrepancy between the two.
Yeah, I think that both are in play. It's just a matter of like Jameis Winston at this point. Who is he? Like obviously Atlanta's kind of ramped up the pressure, like why they've kind of had some big weeks. Jameis just scares me. He's coming out in a ton of optimals too.
Yeah, I mean he is second in yards per air yards per target.
He's
second
really
in-
bad, dude. He's second in being terrible. He should be the second quarterback on that team. Who's their backup?
Dude, I don't know. I have no clue.
He's so bad, dude.
They have one of the veteran backups. I don't remember who it is.
He's been dust. Like, he's really bad. I wonder if they like realize like if they like, how do you coach a team and just be like, oh, this guy's like you obviously know he's bad. Like, they just don't want to address the situation. Like, he sucks.
But like, is it really going to give you any advantage going to whoever their backup is, especially when they like? I'm assuming their backup's worse than Fitzpatrick. So I don't know, Jameis. Like, I actually don't think he's as bad as you do. I still don't think he's the future of the team. Like, I think they should be looking at a new quarterback. But like, especially in fantasy, he just.
You don't think he's as bad as I do? Have you watched him play? Do you watch any of the games?
Like, have you seen his yards per? Have you seen his yards per attempt?
That argument's fine. His yards per attempt, like, he doesn't make the right throws. Like, yeah, he missed like Scotty Miller over the middle for like a 30-yard gain. It was like a big time. They needed a score. They had to settle for a 50-yard field goal. It was an easy throw. Like, yeah, his yards per attempt was great. Scotty Miller was wide open down the field, down the seam, like 45 yards. He threw it in the dirt, like 3 feet in front of him. Like, yeah, yards per attempt's a great stat, I guess. Like, he's really bad, dude. But yeah, it's fantasy football. Like, we play him. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think he's a good like cash game consideration. So like, he's not going to get benched. Like,
if he throws him in cash,
like if he throws picks, it's just going to mean he throws more later in the game. I think he's fine.
He's fine. Yeah.
And like he's fine, and he's also like, he's our new Matt Ryan, because he's gone for the 300-yard bonus in 6 of his past 7 games.
He hit the 300-yard bonus last week.
He had like he had one bomb to Scotty Miller, I think.
Yeah, he did have a bomb to Scotty. You're right about that.
He probably missed him on the other one, apparently, but yeah, I'm pretty sure
he missed. It was bad, dude. They needed that score too, just from like a game, like actual football. Like, they needed that, and they had to settle for a 50-yard field goal. The guy hit it. Like, I couldn't even believe it. It's Tampa Bay. Like, I'm surprised he didn't shank it like 40 yards left.
Yeah, he's hit the 300-yard bonus in every single game except for one over the past 7 weeks. All those games over 40 attempts as well. I know his ankle was banged up, but he's actually got like a little sneaky bit of rushing equity. 2 games of over 40 yards in the past 4 weeks. So I really like Jameis Winston. Yeah, he's bad. I don't really care. On the Atlanta side, I guess one other thing I talked about is Cameron Brate got 14 targets. Like, that's not happening again, but I do think they're just like, we're just back to seeing what we saw earlier.
Why won't it happen again, though? Because I watched that game and 14. Did you see what OJ Howard did, though? He's like completely in the. I just can't see how OJ Howard could be in the doghouse and Jameis Winston isn't in the doghouse for Bruce Arians.
I agree with that. But like,
it's pretty crazy. Like, it's pretty insane. OJ Howard like spun around. He like tried to catch a ball behind his back, like flipped up. Like the guy picked it, like it went off his head into like a defender's hands. Like, it was just like a horrible play. You didn't see him for the rest of the game.
Yeah, I mean, like 14 targets is probably like a career high for him. That's why I'm saying it's not happening again. At 3,600, I really like him. I'm just saying literally 14 targets won't happen again.
Yeah.
Because like 14 targets for like Travis Kelce is a high game. So obviously for Cameron Brate is a high game. But I do think like they haven't used OJ Howard all season unless Cameron Brate's been hurt. Cameron Brate's healthy again. They're going to keep using Cameron Brate. Like, it feels like it's pretty clear cut to me, especially after that like circus level interception. So I like Brate. I think he'll still get like a majority of their work at tight end because they hate OJ Howard. On the other side, Ridley balled out last week, was like, I mean, in a 1-game sample was the clear beneficiary of Austin Hooper being out. So I think it's fine to go back to him. I'd be looking to just go up to Julio Jones just because I think he's going to come at like reasonable ownership for a guy who is like one of the best receivers in the league. So
yeah, I think Russell Gage is in play as well. They just don't throw Julio the ball enough. Like, why doesn't Julio see like Michael Thomas targets? I just don't understand that. Quadre Olson at 3-3. I don't want to use him. But he's at 3-3, so I feel like you have to look at it and just pass. Russell Gage 3-9. I think he's in play as well.
Oh man,
in play.
Yeah, no, the Gage touchdown. I think it hit the
ground.
Fell
back. If that's a score, like we might be talking about Russell Gage chalk week. So
Yeah, for sure. So, because I had him last week, and that really screwed me. But like, he's getting this discount Mohamed Sanu role, and he's still under 4K. This game sets up for like the ultimate smash spot for the Falcons offense. Yeah, I'm totally fine with Russell Gage. I still think I'd like to fade last week, but I guess like what I think Kirk last week in like I played I didn't feel like making a ton of tournament lineups, so I just played a bunch of 3 max last week. Christian Kirk was like between 1% and 4% in every tournament I played. So does that mean we're going to get like a cheap or under-owned Calvin Ridley again and just like run back to the well?
Yeah, I think pretty much. Yeah, whatever you just said, I'm with you.
All right, let's hop into our next game. We've got Seattle visiting Philly. Philly are 2-point home favorites. Totals come down a point to 48. Still one of the higher on the slate, not the highest, but it's up there. On the Philly side, Jordan Howard, I think he's like logged limited practices, but it doesn't seem like he's awfully likely to play. I will for sure be running back to Miles Sanders. I think he's 5K. Boston Scott got 7 carries to Miles Sanders 11, but Miles Sanders got all of the targets out of the backfield. So for me, I don't know, that's pretty much fine at 5K to get all the passing work and a large portion or over 50% of the rushing work. What are you doing with Sanders this week under the assumption Jordan Howard doesn't end up playing?
Yeah, Sanders looked pretty good, even though he kind of busted his chalk. So I don't mind going to Sanders situationally here versus Seattle defense that really isn't great versus the run. They're in Philly too. I like that. I don't mind running Sanders back with like a Wilson, Metcalf stack or definitely a Wilson Lockett stack. I think would be like a priority for me. That would be pretty much it. Is Josh Gordon viable at 4-2?
I would say so. I'd probably say so. He got a decent amount of run, and he had
amount of targets.
Yeah, I think he got 4 targets, and 2 of them were big third down conversions late in the game. What would this have been 2 weeks ago now? Were big conversions late in the game. So yeah, I think he's certainly viable, and the dude's a beast. So.
Yeah, Zach Goddard as well, I think, is someone who we kind of have to think about in cash this week. Ertz is fine, obviously. He's at 6K, a little priced up. But Goddard at 3.7 would be someone I'd highly prioritize, especially with the injury situation at wideout that they have. Nelson Aguilar dropped another game tying touchdown.
He is so bad. And it's not even
I don't even
know.
It's
not even like Jameis Winston where there are times where you if Jameis Winston just did that more often, he'd be good. There's nothing redeeming about Nelson Aguilar.
No, I don't think there's anything redeeming about Jameis Winston outside of the fact that he throws for 300 yards each week in fantasy. You got that wrong. I think Nelson Aguilar is better than Jameis Winston. They're the same player, but different positions.
Such a strange argument to be having. But I with Dallas Goedert, you were very much correct. Has let's see here. Yeah, dude, just getting a ton of work in the past 5 weeks. He's got 8 targets, 4, 5, 5, 6. And it makes sense. Basically, whenever Deshaun Jackson isn't playing, they've been able to get him on the field and run a ton of 2 tight end sets. I know as of last week, they led the league in 2 tight end sets by a pretty wide margin. Now they have Alshon Jeffrey out. I expect to see Dallas Goedert continue to just play a second wide receiver role, essentially, or a second tight end role, whatever you want to call it. So I like that a lot.
I need D-Jax back in my. When's D-Jax back?
He's not playing this season. He's done.
Oh, he's done? Really?
I don't know
what happened to him.
Yeah, he had to have surgery on his abdomen to fix. It's a core muscle thing. I don't think he's technically on IR, but it was a 6-week recovery.
Yeah, I don't see him on IR. So,
but that would put him back at week 17. So, you might get him in the playoffs. I don't know. Maybe he's done for the. I would bet.
I think he's done for the year. I think you're right. I think I read that somewhere. I just go week to week. I don't care about what happens.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know. That's probably everything. And like you said, I probably am not really interested in Chris Carson. I think DK Metcalf is who I'd be going with on the Seattle side, but both him and Tyler Lockett are fine. I think they're both good stacking options. Probably wouldn't run them together. I think I'd be much more interested in running one of them, Josh Gordon, then run it back with any of, if not multiple, of Ertz, Sanders, Goddard.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to our next game. We have the Dolphins versus the Browns. Browns are 11-point home favorites. On the Cleveland side, I kind of want to start talking about Kareem Hunt. I think he got priced at like 5,300, 50 something hundred, but he has like 17 targets in the past 2 games. And it's hard to really project anybody to step in a James White role because there are like 1 to 5 players that have that role in the NFL, but they seem to want to do that. So what are you doing with Hunt this week, I guess?
I think Hunt definitely hurts Chubb at 8,100. I can tell you that much. I'm not rostering Hunt. He doesn't really fit the game script for me. Cleveland side is like, we're looking at cash game, like chalk, early week, like couldn't be more. Baker is probably like the number one QB for a lot of people in cash. Odell is probably the number one cash game wide receiver in terms of a stack. And Jarvis Landry is right there for cash game consideration as well in a revenge narrative game versus Miami. I think a guy like Landry would take, like I would be willing to kind of take the revenge narrative with Landry versus he seems like a vengeful guy. So I'd be more on the passing attack here for Cleveland. And on the Miami side, like I don't want to go there, but I'm gonna say it. Like Kalen Ballage is in play at 4,400 in GBPs. I know you're not gonna like it. I know you never do it, but I can do it at 4,400. I can do it. If I'm game stack, like you have to get different with this Cleveland stack if you want to win a GPP, or say if you play like a 100-man GPP, you got to figure like Cleveland's going to be about 50% owned in that situation. So kind of game stacking this like in some way, going off the board with some Miami guys would be something I'd be interested to. Like it probably wouldn't be something I'd kind of games. I just feel like if you're playing this in a tournament, you need a Miami guy. I don't want to pick a team with a 17 total, but you need someone from Miami to run it back with.
Yeah, no, I agree. Last week that was Devontae Parker. I think
Gesicki is going to be Gesicki might be chalk and in cash, I would imagine.
So if I were, this is probably not in the scenario you talked about, but maybe more Millie Maker consideration. Patrick Laird last week got in on the final drive and just racked up these like short dink and dunk passes. Ended up going 6 for 6 on his targets, 51 yards. Like I don't know.
Are we playing Laird?
I think he's like a deep like MME tournament play. Like he got 1 carry, so you're literally just banking on him like catching a wheel route into the end zone or something. But the problem is he has no rushing equity, and really the only way, like he got there last week on a bunch of late game targets, I believe. Like I was watching a handful of that game. There's just a few dink and dunk passes at the end, but that could set up again this week, and he just needs to like find the end zone. And also, man, if there were ever a running back who's getting a lot of work that I would say never deserves to get it again, definitely be Ballage. So
yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, Ballage shouldn't play football anymore. He's worse than Aguilar and the other guys.
Yeah, worse than Jameis Winston. All right, let's hop into our next game. Oof, I have like no interest in this game almost. Chicago, 6-point home favorites versus the Giants. 40.5-point total. I don't know. Chicago sets up well for David Montgomery, but I think that happened a few weeks ago with Detroit, and David Montgomery busted hard. Although I guess that's maybe a good reason to go back to him because people are going to be so burned by it. But I don't know. He was banged up last week, still ended up playing, I believe. I don't know. I just don't really care to play David Montgomery when I think there are better plays just on the slate as a whole.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't want to play David Montgomery either. For the Chicago side, I think we have to start looking at Mitchell Trubisky and GPPs this week. I hate saying it, but Allen Robinson is 6,500. Oh, who's that? Mitchell. I think Allen Robinson Gabriel stack isn't something like that would be crazy for me to consider.
The only thing I would say is Trubisky suffered what I think they just called like a hip pointer injury. He's almost certainly going to play, but they did end up pulling him late in the game for Chase Daniel. I think his rushing equity is pretty much dried up.
I'll play Chase Daniel. I have no issue. I'd rather play Chase Daniel. I'll tell you, though, the Giants play a ton of man on the outside, and if Mitchell Trubisky ever decided to run again, that would be it might be pretty good.
Yeah, I think with a hip injury though, he hasn't been running even before that.
He's not going to run, so no Mitchell. Chase Daniel's fine. I think you'd play him. Cohen would be definitely in play for me if that was the situation.
Yeah, I'd be more interested just based on price alone to get Chase Daniel. 100% agree. On the other side, Bears defense has been really good. Not really interested. Like they've been really good, and especially they've held quarterbacks rushing wise to like one of the lowest, like bottom 3 or 4 fantasy points from rushing. So, and that's part of the like a big portion of the reason I play Daniel Jones. So, not on any of them. Any interest in any Giants? I guess what's Darius Slayton's price? Dude's a baller.
Slayton's really good. He's 5,300. That's too cheap for Slayton, but he's just going to see some tough defense. He's really good.
Yeah, I don't mind. Like if I don't know if you felt like you wanted to play Mitch Trubisky in the Millie Maker or whatever, I would run it back with Slayton. I'm just off this game entirely though, so that's where I'm.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm off this game entirely. I didn't know he had the hip pointer. I wouldn't have been something I do, but like what I've been liking to do is like just play the chalk and then really differentiate hard in my stacks. So
yeah, no, that's I really have kind of been learning that in the past few weeks as well. It's just like I can't imagine running like Kyle Allen stacks last week because of like just
that. When I seen Kyle Allen, I was all in on Atlanta defense last week. Like when I seen how heavy they were going to be on, I was just like, I'm all right. I'm going with Atlanta.
Yeah, I think just getting like chalk running backs and going a completely different way to stack your quarterback, receiver. I ran the Dawson Knox build last week too, and that worked out pretty well because he ended up scoring. So
yeah, my 2 best weeks, week 7, I think it was the Falcons chalk week, and I was just like appalled at how many people were going to own Matt Ryan like weapons in cash and how heavily owned they're going to be, and I was pretty heavy on the Rams D. I don't know. I just think
I remember.
What I like about football. Yeah, you were one of those guys. I think Cooper, Cat.
No,
I was crazy.
Like
I was crazy for my my Rams defense take, and then they got Jalen Ramsey. Like they had gotten like Jalen Ramsey the day before. It's like if you didn't like the Rams D that week, like I don't know, you're doing this wrong. I feel like. Now that you were you're good.
I think I had like 2 builds. I had one that was Atlanta heavy, and then I had one that was Todd Gurley and Rams D, and only half worked because Gurley sucks.
Yeah, he caught a touchdown though.
Did he? Probably still didn't have a good game because he gets like.
He's really bad.
Yeah, it's a shame. All right, next game: Denver versus Buffalo. Oof, 37.5 total. Buffalo 4-point favorites. Dude, another game that it's such a low total that I'm pretty fine writing it off. I think like the thing is, if Denver isn't scoring a ton, I'm not awfully interested in like John Brown, Josh Allen stacks. I still think they're fine, but in such a bad game environment, there are probably better ways to go. Does the total being so low scare you off like John Brown, Josh Allen? Or like, am I wrong for thinking that?
I don't think I'd play Josh Allen and John Brown this week. I just think it's chasing. I'd actually have more interest in like Philip Lindsay. I think Tim Patrick is someone that could end up seeing some ownership after like the usage that he saw last week. I know it sounds crazy. I wouldn't like Noah Fant in play, but I just don't like playing tight ends versus the Bills. My like Tim Patrick would probably be my favorite play in this game, and I don't even know if it's like I don't know if I really want to go there, but I feel like Tre'Davious White will be on Cortland Sutton, so he'll probably see some more targets funneled his way, and he's at the min, so.
I would not have known that. Tim Patrick Min got 8 targets last week, played a large portion of the snaps, 3K. That's a very good call. And the Tre'Davious White thing. That's fine. Quarterback matchup.
Yeah. Is he going to be chalk and cash? Like he might be. That's like scary.
I don't think so. Mostly because
it's like a tough week. I'm just like, this seems like a really tough week.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be chalk. I think he'll be owned, but not like super chalk. So
I would definitely just play Russell Gage. That game's indoors, I hope.
Yeah. Atlanta's at home, aren't they?
They're at home. Yeah. Gage. It's fine.
Any interest in like Devin Singletary as a pretty solid favorite?
You know what? I think that's a nice little call there. I like Devin Singletary. I think he's a good play. I think if you have everyone kind of chasing Josh Allen and John,
Yeah, that's especially what I was thinking.
Yeah, Devin Singletary, that's sharp, Kyle. You're a
Let
sharp
me
guy,
see.
though. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, he even outcarried Frank Gore. Oh man, Frank Gore got 19 of the team 72 snaps last week.
They just
Singletary.
needed just pull the plug, dude. Just pull it.
He's got records to chase, man.
Yeah, he is a Hall of Famer, as crazy as it sounds.
I really think durability is a skill set for almost any NFL player. So
you should just put it he's probably gonna end up dead on the field. So yeah, he's
all right.
for the Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Famer.
Let's hop into our next game. Detroit versus Washington. Washington at home are still 3.5-point dogs against the Jeff Driscoll-led Lions. I think Jeff Driscoll got a bit of a price up. He's like 50-something hundred now, but with his rushing equity, I'm still fine paying for, I don't know if he's like mid-5, I think. And honestly, as a passer, he's been like fine.
Jeff Driscoll a lot.
Yeah, as a passer, he's been like a middle-of-the-road passer in only 2 starts, but he's been a fine enough passer. I don't think I'm like running double stacks of his receivers. I'd much rather just hope that I get the one of them that scores twice. Like I think that happened with Marvin Jones. I don't think like he's high enough volume, especially against Washington, who isn't going to put up much of a fight. I don't think he's high enough volume necessarily to get 2 receivers there, but I don't mind running him with a single Kenny Golladay.
See, I don't mind running him naked.
That's totally fine too because of his rushing work.
We should talk about Bo Scarborough because that might be a thing.
I don't know how much he is. I think he's
4,200. I think he's going to be someone who ends up pretty chalky in cash games. I only do a week-to-week thing. Like I don't even know if Bo Scarborough like busts and like something I wouldn't even remember next week if he's not like important. I just would just move on.
No, I agree.
Good? Like, is he good? Like, I don't know.
I don't know. He's like a super mega athlete that didn't produce a ton at Alabama. I don't know. He's probably fine, but like
he's
running back,
really athletic, but he's just like
he's bad. I think he's bad Derrick Henry.
Yeah, that's kind of what he looks like. Yeah. So yeah, he is like I don't know, man. Like,
I don't think he has any chance of getting any passing game work. The only hope for him is that like it's just easy for them to grind out a lead against Washington, which is totally in play. But like, I don't know, no passing game work, not great like game in terms of total points projected. Lions are even as favorites. The Lions are still only an implied team total 22.5. It's fine. I get it because he led the team in carries last week. He got 14, but I'm not going to him.
This is a pretty rough slate. Like the more I look at it, this is like there's not a ton that I'm actually in love with. Yeah, I'm just looking through games. Yeah, all right. What do we got next? What about Terry McLaurin?
I was about to say on the other side, Darius Geis got in a little bit, not playing any Adrian Peterson. That's as if I was playing him before. But yeah, Terry McLaurin, I actually think that's a really good call. And the Lions, I believe, have been one of the teams that have given up like the largest ADOT to opposing receivers. I could be wrong on that, but I don't know. I'm never wrong. So no, they've gotten attacked deep by a lot of teams this whole season. So Terry McLaurin kind of matches up well against what teams have had success in the past against them.
Yeah, the issue is like there's no one else to play in this offense. Like there's absolutely no one. Like, and McLaurin would likely see Slay. Like, do you really want to challenge Slay? Like, but maybe that opens up more for like Paul Richardson on like I don't know. I just have bad takes on this team. We should move on.
I am fine with moving on after we talk about Paul Richardson. Next game, Jets versus Oakland. Jets are 3-point dogs at home. The totals moved down 0.5 point to 46.5. The Jets have kind of turned around the past few weeks. So I guess what would be your interest? I think Jamison Crowder had a pretty solid week last week. And honestly, it's not hard for him to do that given the target volume he sees. And like, even if you don't think Sam Darnold's good, he's got such a low ADOT that they're not hard pass to complete. So where are you going on the Jet side of things?
The only issue is he's priced up. So is Ryan Griffin. So is like Robbie Anderson's the only one that hasn't, but he's hurt, right? I would imagine he's hurt. I think Lev at 6,400 is someone I'd be interested in. For their price tag versus Oakland, who can't stop a lick. Like you seen Joe Mixon have a pretty good day versus Oakland last week. I don't mind. Like if Adam Gase was smart, like just give the ball to Lev. We have to assume rational coaching, but that doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. And 6,400 Lev's too cheap. On the Oakland side, I think Oakland's like a stack I'd be interested in. Derek Carr, Darren Waller. Foster Moreau vultured a TD from Waller last week. Waller was pretty chalky last week for a lot of people in a play that a lot of people went to. I feel like you can definitely leverage the field by rostering Waller or incorporating Waller into your builds. Josh Jacobs, 7,400. I think that's fine. Like I would rather like the passing game, Tyrell Williams, Waller, Carr, if they're going to be low owned. Maybe run it back with Lev.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of talk about how Hunter Renfrow kind of cut into Darren Waller's work, but last week Waller played all but 4 snaps, got 7 targets. I mean, like he really, honestly, had a pretty solid game, 5 for 78. Just didn't score, didn't get the 100-yard bonus, but the volume he's seeing is what I'm interested in, so I like that call. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not paying up for Josh Jacobs given his like complete lack of receiving game work. The interesting thing for me is Le'Veon Bell. At a lot of points this season, the same argument can be made for him. I think he's got 6 targets in the past 2 weeks, has multiple games with less than 3 targets. I don't know, man. They're just not using him like Pittsburgh was. Not super interested in Bell.
I wonder like if he thought about that prior to like holding out and doing, because like he's obviously not going to see the usage in another offense like he would have seen in Pittsburgh. It just doesn't make sense. He just left like, I don't know. For him, it just seemed like a bad move. They just utilize him so much better.
Yeah, no, I think there were not a lot of teams that could use him the way Pittsburgh did, and none of those teams were ever supposedly interested in him. So I don't know. Yeah, I'm ready to move on from this game as well. Next game, this is a interesting, weird game. The Bengals are 7-point home dogs to Pittsburgh. 39-point totals come down half a point. Despite the fact that I've just been ragging on a couple of games with very low totals, I'm much more interested in this game because it looks like as of now we will be without Juju, we'll be without Deontay Johnson, without James Conner. So for me, Vance McDonald, 3,500, has 21 targets, I think, in the past 3 weeks, 7 targets in each game. Totally in, like, I think he's cash game viable, as well as James Washington, who's the only receiver on this team, assuming Juju and Deontay Johnson are out, with more than like 13 targets. So,
yeah, I think the Cincy side is interesting. Who are you in? Who'd you say? James Washington?
Yeah,
James Washington's a good play. Is Juju going to be out?
Yes, almost certainly. I mean, like, I bet on it for sure.
People are going to play Pittsburgh, guys. Oh, holy.
They have like 2 players that are active with any semblance of production this season. It's James Washington and Vance, as far as like receiving options go.
How do you not play those guys in cash?
I don't disagree. I mean, like, I don't know. James Washington got a little price up to 5K, but like he's this team's number 1 receiver by like a wide margin.
Deontay Johnson is just done.
There's like chance he plays, but I would bet against it. Schefter, I think it was Schefter, was like, it's more likely than not that he and Connor don't play.
Yeah. Wow. What about Jalen Samuels?
Yeah, absolutely in play, especially given the lack of receiving game weapons. Like that would feed perfectly into what he does. How much is he?
I'll play Cincy defense this week. 100% I'll play Cincy defense this week.
Yes. So would you be interested just based on volume alone in running Cincy defense and then still running a Pittsburgh player? Like even in tournaments and cash.
Yeah, I'll do that. More. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with doing that. The issue is who. I'm like getting off that bias that I can't do that, because if everyone's just going to play these guys in tournaments, I will play the Bengals D and Pittsburgh. Like that's going to win me some money at some point this season. Because so many people are against it. Like I think it can work. Like the more I've seen it, like it can work. I just don't know who you would fade. Like I think you're obviously fading Mason Rudolph and his receivers. So like Jalen Samuels would be someone I'd try to get in there. But the thing is, Jalen Samuels isn't going to get the rock if they're down, if they're winning, right? Like he doesn't pound it. Who's the guy who pounds the ball?
So this week, I think Benny Snell may be back. Like there's no set in stone, but that would be, I mean, where you would look to go. Not guaranteed that he plays, but he could be back after, I think, like a knee scope or something like that.
Yeah, I like the Cincy side too. It's a matter of who. The Bengals D is definitely in play.
I mean, I think it's fine to run Bengals D Joe Mixon. I don't love Joe Mixon. He doesn't get a ton of receiving game work. He hasn't, at least this season, which has been disappointing. But if there were a game where it wouldn't matter, it'd be a game where you like bet on Cincy. Like I'll probably be betting Cincy to cover this week. So
yeah, no, it makes sense.
Probably not playing Tyler Boyd. I think Auden Tate got banged up a little bit. I don't know if he's going to play or not, but I don't know. I would probably only run Joe Mixon in this game, or on the Bengals side.
Yeah.
All right, next game, we have Tennessee versus Jacksonville. Tennessee are 3-point home favorites, 41.5-point total. Tennessee side, I don't know. I still just blatantly refuse to play Tennessee receiving options as long as Ryan Tannehill's throwing the ball. Much rather look like Derrick Henry in this game. He's a home favorite. Derrick Henry is just the smash spot. So,
yeah, people aren't gonna like this. I like Tannehill. I like AJ Brown. I like Corey Davis. I just think they're at home. It's a way to be contrarian. They have a semi-high team total compared to other like teams like this on the slate. I don't know. Yeah, I just think that they're in play. I just don't know. I definitely think you can roster that stack, or like it was a stack that I saw that I thought I could use. Maybe I'm totally wrong.
On the other side, I mean,
you hated that call. I think it's not as bad as you think.
I don't know. I just think Tannehill's pretty bad. And he's had multiple good games where his receivers don't even get there because because they spread it out so much. Like they've gotten it to Jonnu Smith, they've gotten it to Adam Humphries, or he gets there on the ground. So especially if you're running that stack, I'd be much more interested in running it like a single, even naked or just a single receiver.
Maybe Tannehill, Henry, and AJ Brown. I don't.
Yeah, I think Tannehill Henry would be very interesting, especially like if you get that man, you get there. He's not a good pass catcher, but you get him the ball against corners. Like you just run like cheap, easy routes. That's where he excels. Like he's not a route runner.
Have you been catching passes though? That might be a bad.
Nah, not really. But the thing is, he hasn't been.
It's not a good take.
No, but the thing is, he has not been catching passes. He has 2 catches of over like 50 yards and a touchdown this season, and he did it last season as well. Like.
Yeah, no, if he gets this, that is true. If he catches a screen, I don't understand like why he isn't utilized more in the passing game and have to make corners like make that tackle because it's a tough tackle, especially for smaller corners.
Yeah, I think it's probably just because he's not like traditionally what we would call a good pass catcher. Like he's not a good route runner. I don't think he has like a high catch percentage or anything. But like, dude, he's a freaking beast. Just get him matched up against corners. Yeah, he has 3 targets has been his ceiling this season. But he has he had the one game of 75-yard touchdown catch. 2 weeks ago, he had 3 catches for 36 and another tutter. Like that's in his range of outcomes, is just getting 1 catch for a touchdown.
Yeah, D.D. Westbrook on the other side, 4,600. I think he's too cheap. Like DJ Chark as well. I don't hate Foles. Like you could roll Jacksonville and Henry.
Before we head out of this game, Leonard Fournette, man, keeps getting the volume. Last week he didn't really get the volume, but they also passed like 50 times. They already had some coach speak come out about how they need to get him the ball more.
Yeah, I saw that. Does that make him chalk? It might make him chalk.
Dude, I think people are just done with Leonard Fournette, and like it's like hard not to blame them because he's not very good, but I like him. He's fine. He got 7 targets last week, 6 targets the week before that, 7 the week before that. Like, dude is a legit
targets.
Yeah, I mean they passed 50 times, so it's not.
It wasn't Foles though.
Yeah, no, I'll do 7,300. He's like top 5 or so in touches per game. The touchdown regression will hit one day.
What did he get for targets last week?
7. He's like up there in the NFL in terms of routes run. Like he runs, they just use him like a receiver.
Dude.
Yeah, no, you don't have to tell me twice. He's in plays like
play too. Like I think Chark's going to be really chalky. Like I wouldn't want to go there. Like, I'd rather go like Chris Conley. I get Chark's a beast. Like or Westbrook definitely. I want a burner.
Yeah, the problem is if you want to get like the typical tournament play in this game, it's Chark who's chalk. But if you want to go with like I don't think I don't know. I don't see a super high projection on Chark. No, it's the buy high model. Chark went off last week. No one's going to play him.
If that's how people think, I'll think like Justin and just play him. You know what I mean? Like if I have to revert to that kind of thinking to get an edge on the field, like I will chase the guy who did well last week. You know, if everyone's already converted.
Dude, yeah, I've like talked about this multiple weeks in a row, and I wouldn't be saying it if like it hasn't like shown to be true. Last week I saw like 1% Christian Kirk, and he had gone for 40 the week before. It happened with Stephon Diggs earlier in the season. Yeah.
DJ.
All right, let's hop into our next game. Let's see. New England versus Dallas.
How did Christian Kirk do last week?
He didn't do great. Yeah, I know. I think he was fine. Like, I don't know. He got a decent amount of volume. He just didn't score, like, at the 100-yard bonus.
He wasn't fine.
How many points did he get?
He wasn't fine.
Kalen Balage's 10 points was fine, though.
I thought it was fine. 2x. That's high for Kalen Balazs.
it's actually a great Kalen Balazs game.
Hill, dude.
Let's go to our next game. New England versus Dallas.
We have Brian Hill. Anything can happen. He can hit a hole. Like everyone could like fall down and just hit the end zone in those last 2 quarters. He had 9 at like the end of the first half.
He is very bad.
He's horrible. He's bad.
All right, next game, New England versus Dallas. New England, Mohamed Sanuchak really crushed everyone last week. Did you watch that game? Do you actually think it was like N'Keal Harry coming back that pushed like Mohamed Sanu out of viability, or like what was your take on that? If you have anyone,
it's the Patriots.
Yeah, see, I don't think it was as much of like N'Keal Harry took over Mohamed Sanu's role. You just have a lot of good receivers on a team. The target share is going to get spread out more.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Edel's this week, though. I really like Edelman. 6,900. It's a good price for him.
Oh, Mohamed Sanu also left the game briefly. Like, it wasn't super long, so I don't think that's like – I'm not just going to say, well, I made a good play and just got bad luck with an injury. He came back to finish the game, I think.
Harry will have a touchdown this week.
Let's see. So Dallas side, they face
is Mohamed Sanu and Dorsett might be in concussion protocol.
Yes, he is. Yeah, he is. At that point, dude, I'd be firing up me a lot of N'Keal Harry.
See, I don't know if you could do it in cash though.
Yeah, no, I think
you play Tim Patrick. If I said you can play Tim Patrick, though, you can definitely play N'Keal Harry. My issue is like, I don't know. It would get dicey. I like on the Dallas side. Going right back to the well, Michael Gallup.
Michael Gallup is a legit baller. Like
that, yeah, that price is way. He should be like 7,200.
Yeah, I think they should be priced like we see Amari Cooper or like we see Chris Godwin, Mike Evans priced.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Michael Gallup should not be 5,900. That's a pricing mistake.
Jesus, yeah. That's down from I guess adjust for matchup, sure, but like I don't know, man. That's low.
I don't even hate like Dak, Amari. I don't mind Amari versus Stephon Gilmore. Like if people I'll play defenses doesn't matter because like there aren't a lot of games. There what you don't like
No, I'm saying yes, defenses welcome to the dark side.
I've been a member. What do you wait? Whoa! You're not talking to Justin.
I was like, who's he matching up? Who's his cornerback matchup?
I don't care who's covering who. That does not. I'm like that's like I played NBA DFS. Like this does not mean anything to me. I don't even look at players' names. Like I look at the salary, the usage, and Like that's pretty much it. Like I have that's how I don't know who's out. Like the salary and if they can 3x. Like that's all. I honestly like. Yeah, pretty much. I think you go. There's not a lot of like stacks on the slate. That are like strong contrarian options to build around chalk. I think Dallas is one of those is like not in the best situation, but Amari Cooper probably going to be lower owned than would he actually be relative to different situations. I think him and Gallup aren't the worst. The thing is, they kind of don't both do well together usually.
Yeah, they're, I believe, pretty like they're very, very similar to the Chris Godwin, Mike Evans situation. So I would probably look to run one of them with like Randall Cobb even, or I don't know, Blake Jarwin's pretty thin, but he's also got a ton of like he's got so many like 3 or 4 plays of over like 25 yards. Like he's a pretty efficient player, despite like they still keep trotting out Jason Witten. But
what about Zeke?
I mean, he's not getting really much receiving game volume at all. He's like, I don't know. He's like, I don't even think he's like an amazing running back. Like I think like Alvin Kamara is like measurably more elusive and like a better running back than the field. I can't even say that about Zeke. Like Tony Pollard's probably better.
Yeah. I'm just arguing with Justin via chat. He's mad because at like 6:30, I laughed out loud at his Doncic over Giannis. But then like I like Doncic. Like he projected pretty well tonight. But it was just like really tough to fit him after we needed like Draymond Green news, and that once that hit, like Doncic was a lock. But like Justin's like, you like NBA changes within the minute, bud.
That's actually I can already picture that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I like the defenses don't matter stacks because I think they're gonna be super low owned. And on the Diehards pod, Justin said he likes the New England defense. So that's how go the other way.
He likes the New England defense.
That's what he said.
Oh my god.
He's like the voice of the people. If he made ownership projections, oh my god, they'd be amazing.
He is the public. Just stay in the public.
Yeah, if he made ownership projections, they'd be like up just 1 R squared, just 1.0 R squared with ownership.
They're unbelievable. His takes are unreal. Like
he's had a few good takes recently though. The Instagram show on Sunday morning, he actually did a great job. So
who did he pick on the IG show?
I don't know. I don't remember, dude. I just know thinking like,
Brian Hill.
What?
He said fade Brian Hill.
I think I talked him into playing Brian Hill.
No, but he said
no. Yes, he was like, well, do we even know who Brian Hill is? And I was like, I don't know. He's gonna get all the work.
I'm saying that. I can picture him saying that.
And he was like, so we're playing. He's like, so we're playing Brian Hill, and I was like, yeah, we're playing Brian Hill in cash. And he's like, I don't know, kind of rolled his eyes. He was right. He was right.
He was right. Yeah.
We did not know who Brian Hill was.
Yeah, we do not know who they are. What was that? What's that famous quote? They are who we thought.
Yeah. All right, we only have one question today. I guess anybody in the chat, fire off any questions you have before we get out of here. My second running backs were Devonta Freeman and Marlon Mack, and Matt Breida, all injured. Would you start Lions Bo Scarborough or take the chance on Benny Snell? I think I would play Benny Snell, assuming like I don't think he's a lock to play this week. Like I don't think he's.
I'd play Bo.
It's. Both are fine. I think so. All I can think of is and maybe this is like the vividness bias, but the one game that Benny Snell played without James Conner, maybe he played more than one, but it was the one where he got like a ton of carries. They ran a decent amount of wildcat. Like their offense was very good at giving 2 backs the ball, and it would make even more sense without Juju and without Deontay Johnson.
No, I get that,
but Scarborough's fine too, and like your floor is probably a lot higher with Scarborough.
Makes sense.
Don't have any more questions. So we will catch everybody. Please tune back in so we can break down all the news, like, the Benny Snell news. Sunday morning at, 9 in the morning? Sundays, Eastern time, Oh, one more question before we head out, I think. Is McCaffrey go play this week? Yeah, play McCaffrey every week. I don't 100%.
Yeah, you just play McCaffrey.
Yeah, he's like last week was great because he showcased why he didn't need to even score. Like negative game script, great for him. Positive game script is probably because he scored twice. He's just so incredibly good. Yeah, play McCaffrey every week, especially like they didn't even price him up. So yeah, play McCaffrey. So for myself, at Kyle Tweets here, for Bobby Gomes at Bobby Gomes DFS. Check us out right here again at Sunday 9 a.m. Eastern.
Peace, guys.